Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648 or internationally at 727-873-7618. Now, David White.
And welcome all to another excellent edition of the Power Trading Hour. As always, we come to you at this time.
The following takes place between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
Well, it's kind of a quiet day up on at least decent volume, a little bit more than I thought. I thought we'd probably set something else out. As we talked many times, today is fairly important for options expiration. About 80% of the time, the low of today will not, the markets won't close below that in 8 days. So generally, this is a time where on average, you're going to get about 0.75%, maybe 1% or 1.5%, depending on where you are in the cycle, higher on the 20th. So there's a little bias. What I dislike right now is a lot of the stocks that I looked at an hour ago had light volume. That may have changed in the last hour. I think we kind of sold off just a hair and a lot of volume came in. I think I saw the SPYs at 394. What do we get? 394.28 as the high. And now it's 393. Be interesting how this closes. It's not uncommon to see them really push the market higher and then let it fall back. They need both higher and lower on delta neutral days to get options on and off and hedges on and off to set up for that delta neutral on the 20th. And if you can just think of it this way, generally it's kind of like an arms dealer that's selling to both sides in the war. They really don't care as long as it just continues. They don't want one side or another winning that much. Just as long as it continues to go on, they make money. And that's what the option market makers would like, is just enough to keep people interested, but not enough direction to actually lose any money one way or the other. It is slightly bullish upon that time, but I didn't see a whole lot that pushed higher out here. I had a few questions about ChatGPT. I think that most people do not understand what it is, and that's not unsurprising for something that is new and really doesn't have, if you would have said Google in 1990, people would have kind of looked at you and gone, okay, well, the internet really didn't even exist for most people before 1995 or 6. So, what is it? How does it go? But it is an interesting company in that it was kind of set up as a foundation. But the big investors in that are probably smiling fairly a lot. Microsoft, there were a couple other companies that heavily invested. There was one individual who probably is up about 1,000% on his investment of $1 billion, and that's Elon Musk. So he may be down a little bit on Tesla on Twitter at the moment. But if you look at a company that went from about 10 weeks ago from a market cap of about $1 million to what most people think now is a market cap of $40 billion, he probably is cashed in quite a bit. And, of course, he'll be able to use that. I think the whole reason that he bought Twitter was that he saw that this was on the horizon and ready to come. But you've already noticed that laying off 80% of the dead wood at Twitter really hasn't changed the amount of people using it whatsoever. But, you can probably kick him around on Tesla a bit. But, now is he a 4-time or 5-time winner now for picking companies that are going to be something. Anyway, 877-927-6648. Email me at path@tfnn.com. And of course, you can put something in the den. Question: will SpaceX go public? Early in or late last year, they started hiring some folks. That's generally within a year you're probably going to go public. So they had some meetings with Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley. I think what they wanted to do was a few things, and that is look at the books on SpaceX getting a little bit better. They now have over 1 million subscribers for their SpaceX internet system. Not 1 million, not a lot, but they're just now getting to the point where their constellation of internet satellites are starting to be enough to really make it a decent service for a lot of folks. I do know a couple people that have it on their boats. I know some people have it in their RVs. Now that they've kind of let up on that a bit. But for GPT, I think the sky's the limit. And I think you could make an argument that there may be people going up against Google in their page search with ChatGPT. And like I said, I think that's a little of the reason that Musk bought Twitter is he saw an opportunity to, one, cut a bunch of dead wood on a bunch of people doing a whole lot of nothing at Twitter, and, of course, maybe attacking Google and other businesses directly with something new. We have to think that really the page rank part of Google goes back to 1998. Although it's called PageRank, it has nothing to do with Larry Page, one of the founders of the company. It's all about rating each page for the potential to be something that people are looking for. It's still, you can get several pages into finding what you want. So it's fairly good on that. But we've seen many of the articles of the last few days talking about Microsoft importing that into Bing. They are also one of the big early investors in it. And I did see that they were up a bit today to where were they at? Yeah, 2.2%, 234.01. Again, I don't put a lot of weight into something like today. Either the options expiration day or the delta neutral day. A lot of times you just want to, if there's something there, you want to maybe give it half the weight you would on a normal day. But it's okay. Do have some questions on CCJ. It's back up to its breakdown point, so we'll take a look at that. See if there's anything else out here. I had questions on NVIDIA and AMD. We'll talk about that, but they're not doing much on the day. So that's kind of it. We'll have when we come back, we'll do a little history. I think it's kind of interesting today, at least from my viewpoint. Then we'll get into some charts and some of these things that are moving and seeing if we have a lot going on. Is it smoke and mirrors? Is it Memorex? Never know. We'll be back in a minute.
Currencies, commodities, and bond markets are as important as ever right now with how they're driving the volatility in equity markets across the globe, which is why it's a great time to try out Teddy Kakestat's Tiger Forex Report. Teddy Kakestat breaks down the Forex markets every Monday using his 30-plus years of experience as a trading veteran of futures, Forex, stocks, and options. Teddy releases his weekly Tiger Forex Report every Monday morning with coverage of all the major currency pairs, including the dollar index, the euro dollar, pound dollar, dollar Swiss, dollar yen, as well as many more, and he also has weekly coverage of the crude oil market and the 30-year T-bonds, as they both influence Forex markets tremendously. When you sign up for the Tiger Forex Report, you also gain instant access to Teddy's 60-minute webinar archive he just hosted, Forex Strategies and Fundamentals, What is Behind the Tiger Forex Report. For all the details and to start your 30-day Tiger Forex Report subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Are you grinding in the market, but seeing little to no return? Or are you a successful trader, simply looking to make your job a little easier? Learn to take the path of least resistance with David White's powerful trading newsletter. David White is an accomplished trader whose deep understanding of technology and the markets allows him to consistently find and share winning trades. Support and resistance define the ranges in which stocks trade. By understanding these trading ranges, David White is able to find the path of least resistance. David White's trading newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, is delivered daily before the markets open to make every trading day an easy win. Visit TFNN.com today and subscribe to David White's Ultimate Trading Newsletter for $119 a month. And try all of our newsletters risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Take the path of least resistance at TFNN, educating investors. Are you looking for a way to consistently add winning trades to your portfolio? Tom O'Brien is here to help. Tom O'Brien has been successfully trading markets for over 30 years. A frequent contributor to TD Ameritrade Network and CNBC, Tom O'Brien founded TFNN over 20 years ago to help educate investors just like you. Tom's daily market newsletter, Market Insights, is published every morning when the markets open to give you the competitive informational edge you need to succeed. These newsletters are packed full of Tom's advanced technical analysis and are geared to deliver comprehensive strategies for a successful portfolio. Get Tom O'Brien's newsletter, Market Insights, today and try all of our products and newsletters 30 days risk-free with our money-back guarantee at TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-873-7618.
And what do we have? We've got a lot going on here. Anyway, on this day in 1997, Telstar 401, a satellite owned by AT&T that transmitted computer data, phone calls, and television programming, suddenly fails for no apparent reason other than it failed. AT&T attempts for over a week to reestablish contact, but it ultimately fails. While the AT&T never officially acknowledged the possibility, many scientists believe that a major solar storm may have contributed to the failure of the satellite. And of course, this really moved many satellite manufacturers to move to a PowerPC chip, which are still in high demand today for satellites, mostly because there was a variant made with gallium arsenide that is highly resistant to EMF. That's the giant amount of RF signals and EMI made by an atomic weapon. A lot of those chips were made for, I think, the M1A1 Abrams and the B1, and they're continued to use a lot today. That's why you don't hear quite so much about satellites failing once they get up into orbit these days. Of course, the whole PowerPC thing kind of started going away when Apple finally admitted that they were going to get on the Intel bandwagon about 2006. So it's still kind of out there, but the whole PowerPC thing, not that big a deal. But it's kind of interesting that satellites still today are using 20-year-old technology, because the technology we do have today that's kind of cutting edge, incredibly susceptible to any kind of EMP or solar storm or anything else. But I do digress. 877-927-6648. Yeah. Yep. A lot of stuff going on. Anyway, what else do we have here? Want to get to some of the other stuff happening, in the church of what's happening now. I wanted to get back to some of the email here. Had a couple of emails that came in late. That means after the show was already over. Now, where's it at? I was pretty sure I had it. Where'd it go? Come on. It deleted again. I think I sent something. Did I do that? Okay. Okay, sent. Is that today? No. No. Maybe it's in this one. Sent. Maybe here. I'm sorry. I had the golf guy asking for something, and I looked at it just before the show, and now it's disappeared. I do not. Maybe if you re-email me now, maybe we can get to it, but I did miss it. I wanted to get to you. Okay. Okay, I have no idea where. Is it in the spam? Junk? No? Trash? There it is. Okay. TENB. Okay. Tenable. This thing has really just been going sideways since this big gap up back on the 26th of October. I don't know how you read a lot into that one way or the other. Security space as a whole, the big problem with security software is that when things start heading south in the economy and in the stock market, anything that they don't have to spend money on, big companies don't. And one of the first things, because many of the CEOs are fairly stupid about computer technology and especially computer security, they tend to not spend money on that. But I'm going to say that it would probably be a good play after we get done with whatever recession we have. 877-927-6648. Okay. Okay, what do we have here? Okay, we're going to get into some other stuff. As we said, we talked about Microsoft's investment, talked about Musk's big win on that. A few things on my list here. AMD. As we talked, both of these companies, both AMD and NVIDIA, are in tumult over products that they've released that have problems. Not exactly sure why both of them did, but of course both of them have their products made by Taiwan Semiconductor. I don't think that's it. I think they were kind of in a race to get these products out the door into the Christmas selling season and may have been a little quick. AMD has some video cards out that are melting down because of the heat spreaders on them. NVIDIA has various problems with connectors melting. And these are not on like $200 cards. We're talking $2,000 cards or $1,000 cards. So it's not fairly inexpensive equipment. But on a day like today, you got very light volume and a doji on NVIDIA. I don't think there's a lot there. As we talked earlier, Microsoft has been discussing a bit of how they can use ChatGPT to go after Google. But you've gone up, but even today, as I said, volume's been light on a lot of these. You're into the gap down on Microsoft on the 4th. That had 50 million shares on the way down. We're up on 15 million shares. So certainly it does kind of look like there are some opportunities to retest some lows. As I've been saying, though, we can kind of think about the market here, maybe just having kind of a counter trend rally for a little while. I don't like the light volume, and I will wait for a better place to plant the flag. I'm kind of a guy, I don't like trying to bunt out a single on the day. I kind of like go after Thursday and Friday of last week and try to hit some big home runs, make a lot of money, get out, try to analyze the market, not have so much skin in the game so I can make a better decision. 877-927-6648. Okay. We'll be back in a minute.
If you want to take advantage of this sector, now is the time to subscribe to my Gold Report. The Gold Report is a comprehensive look at the metals sector as well as the markets that move gold, which is the currency and bond markets. New subscribers get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Every Monday morning, I publish the Gold Report with coverage of gold, silver, bonds, the XAU, HUI, GDX, as well as more than 30 different mining equities. To see for yourself the types of profitable trades that are recommended within the Gold Report, sign up now by visiting TFNN.com. Don't miss out on the next great gold trade. Sign up today.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, for free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, Butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by Thinkorswim. For more information, just click the Thinkorswim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And as we come back, I said looking at Microsoft, you got a lot of down volume into this high. A few people talking about Amazon. Let's take a quick look at that. Again, up. Volume a little bit better. You might end up with a decent day on this. You probably aren't going to be able to get into the highest volume, which is about 100 million shares. We've got 68 right now. But there is a gap. This gap goes back to November the 16th on Amazon, and that would put you at about $98. But again, we've been talking about some mild optimism on Amazon as China continues to turn off the lockdowns, and maybe Amazon will have a little bit more stuff to sell. More comments about UNG. I haven't watched the weather and see if there's a big turnout here, but you are starting to get into some longer-term downtrends, and you may have tested, unfortunately, on higher volume, the last major low at this price range, which was the December 23rd, 2021 low. That was at $11.69 with 13.5 million shares. You spike that, let's get back here a little bit. You spike that today, but right now you're at pretty close to that level, 1173. And, of course, you just needed 1169 to be back in the trading range. But that also, because you came down on such heavy volume, you're probably talking at least a little while, maybe a couple of weeks, to consolidate that low. I know everybody thinks of everything being in V's, V bottoms these days, but this may be more of a U bottom unless something drastically changes. Question about the TLT from Ron. Okay. 20-year bond. Amazingly, a lot of strength, and I guess that people started to get the word of it before I did, or think about it on China's reopening, which I think was a big part of this and the dollar move. That, of course, will eventually all be worked into the prices. But what do we have now? You just got a light volume with about half the volume you had yesterday. So I don't think that there's much to be said out here. Okay, take a quick look at the SMHs for Jack. You've got a nice kind of counter trend up here. The downside is the light volume today, 1.8 million shares in the SMHs. That's compared to 5.7 just a few days ago. Oh, I've got a caller. We're going to go to the caller as soon as I see what his name is here. Okay. Go. Mike, how you doing today?
Hey, how you doing, Dave? Say, early in your broadcast, you mentioned solar flares, and
Yep.
I follow this stuff on a website called spaceweather.com.
I'm familiar with it.
And they basically report stuff that comes from NASA, and NASA has identified 3 X-class, which is the highest category of solar flare that have occurred this week. In the last 7 days, last Friday, the 6th, then the 9th and the 10th. And there's a 30% chance there'll be another one. Now, the significance is that people don't understand that these things can be hazardous to satellites and to the internet. And mostly the last 3 have interrupted, fortunately have hit directly, I think 2 of them in the South Pacific, so they cause fade outs and loss of radio for many people, but there's been instances in the past where these have been devastating to certain parts of the world, where they knock out electronics, knock out power grids, and if that was a direct hit, one of these, it's very active right now, if one of those is a direct hit, that could cause a big problem for the stock market. I think it's highly unlikely, but you never know, so I'm just bringing it up.
Well, that's what I was kind of talking about, how since that Telstar went dead, they started really working very hard on EMP for a lot of those satellites. And now the satellites can tell when the solar flares, or solar storms as they're called, are ramping, and they'll shut down the satellite for a while. And they'll turn back on. They've got a thing called a watchdog feature that will just say, turn yourself off for 24 hours and then turn yourself back on. And that generally is what happens with a lot of those satellites. Besides being put together with older technology that is much more resistant to EMPs and solar flares. But most people don't understand what a solar storm is. And that is just a huge amount of atoms are headed our way that get thrown off the sun. But because you're talking about such high temperatures and plasma, there is no electrons associated with it. And so you've got these what are known as charged particles racing at about a fourth the speed of light coming our way. So normally you have a fairly good indication that these things are coming. It's not like a tornado where you get 5 minutes. So they'll program those satellites now to go dormant for a certain amount of time. So I think that's why we haven't heard so much from them in the last 10 years of satellites going out, because generally they have their own hardware on board to make sure. And then secondarily, preemptively, a lot of these satellite companies like SpaceX can turn their satellites off until the danger is past.
Interesting. So Starlink, my daughter's got Starlink, and I was concerned because they rely on that heavily. So, okay, I just want to bring it up. And people, if they've not checked out something called the Carrington event from 1859, they should check it out on Wikipedia because it describes what can happen. And that's back when all they had was telegraphs. They didn't have electronics like we do today. So it could be an issue if it continues.
I think a lot of people don't know, but of course I grew up in Hawaii, but I wasn't old enough. But in 1963, one of the first things that we decided that we wanted to do once we got into space was nuke it. And my dad was involved in monitoring all that stuff in the Air Force, along with the nuclear weapons. So in 1963, they decided to blow up an atomic weapon in space and blew out the first TV satellite at the same time, but also blew out the electric grid in Hawaii all at the same time. So a lot of that stuff goes around, but yeah, I don't think it's quite I don't think it's quite the big deal that it used to be. We'll be back in a minute.
Okay.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, for free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
The technology around us is changing every day. With so much happening, it can seem impossible to keep up with all the information. David White's investment newsletter, The Technology Insider, is designed to give you all the information you need to understand the technology that shapes today's markets and tomorrow's future. David White has made his living staying on the cutting edge of technology. His weekly newsletter will give you specific recommendations for value tech stocks, as well as entry prices, target prices, and stops to set for each trade. Dave delivers his weekly newsletters every Friday with updates throughout the week. You can get the Technology Insider at TFNN.com for only $37.50. Sign up for David's newsletter, The Technology Insider, and get an inside look at everything the technology sector has to offer. Try it risk-free today with our 30-day money-back guarantee. TFNN, educating investors.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
I'm just posting a picture in the Tiger's Den of a B1 being tested for EMP. They built this kind of big, long trestle over a big hole. I think it's like a copper mine or something out west. And they pushed it out there and blow things up around it to see how well the electronics would actually work. But, yeah, everything's much better than it was even just 20 years ago. But that's probably why you don't hear so much about it and why the generally when we get these solar storms, they're a whole lot less, at least on the satellite side. On the ground side, if we got something big, it could be a lot bigger deal replacing all that stuff. But, yeah. Anyway, let's take a look at some other stuff out here. We talked a great deal about Apple and how I thought what they were doing over the last few days was a lot of saber rattling for Qualcomm. They're up today. Its volume is not very big. We got about an hour and 15 minutes left to go. I'll take a quick look at Qualcomm and see if there's any follow-up on it. Really didn't hurt them. You've got a little doji out here today, so it's pretty quiet. Some questions that I answered last night, UVXY, is that generally you can find a low in the VIX corresponding, or fairly long-term low in the VIX, corresponding when the UVXY, the bear version of that, actually is reverse split. And I can't remember how many times it's been split, but maybe 10 times. It's one of the all-time money makers for Wall Street because it's always decaying. Now, I played it and made a lot of money, but it's very much like being a card counter in Las Vegas, and that is it's one of the things that you can make a huge amount of money on, but you better be on the right side of it. And it's very tough to make money to the upside on this. Generally, from Friday to Monday, about 95% of the time, you're never going to be able to beat even the downturn if Monday goes lower. So I'm not a big fan of buying it late Friday and hoping that the market opens a giant pit of despair on Monday. But you can see a lot of stuff out here. Anyway, when it normally gets down into this price range under $10, for some reason, you don't see the market really do much in the way of being bearish. Right after the split comes, it seems like everybody tries to play these things and nothing happens. So actually, this is one of the few bullish things right now that's continuing along with the market. But that's it. Okay. What else do we have here? Target for TLT short. I don't know. This market's not acting like the right thing is to be short right now, the TLT. Now, maybe that changes tomorrow. You've got a fairly decent and strong rally off 99.35. If it would have come up here on light volume, I may have agreed with you. We may just see this thing start going sideways. I know that the Fed is probably interested in slowing down the movement of the dollar and bonds and getting them to stabilize. So right now, absent any kind of big move with some kind of energy behind it, I'm thinking that you may go sideways for a while. Let's see what else we have. Got a couple more emails here. My GUI ID. Okay. Let's take a look at some others as we're seeing here. Okay. Got that. Okay. Oh, we were going to talk about CCJ. It's finally back up to where it fell apart. But again, just look at the last 4 days, just a declining volume. You're not really holding the high today. Could it still get back up into 25.94? That was almost 9 million shares. You got today as you pushed into that with about 3 million shares. Again, we may have had the lion's share of the bounce. I think we need to either consolidate here or we're probably going lower. My belief right now is that we need to consolidate around 390 on the SPYs. And we're kind of up on this with options not showing that much lower. So we may be in a lower volatility regime until the market's ready to head back down lower. At the highs, I've been thinking on the S&P 500, maybe 4,000 to 4,100 in a counter-trend move higher. But right now, don't have a lot of evidence one way or the other. And as I say many times, I will continue to drive in this market like I'm in very heavy fog. And a pile up on Interstate 75 is just around the corner. Question from Jacob about IBB. Thanks, Jacob, a new listener. Okay, now we've got just sideways action in this. Again, 4 days lower on volume so far. I'm thinking that maybe the Fed's going to try to thread the needle, and that means that we won't have a lot of upside or downside either in either side of the market. That generally connotes a slight bias higher over time. That's why I think we could see a lot of people shorting every move in the market, only to have the market go slightly higher until they quit shorting. I haven't seen any evidence that the short sellers aren't trying to short every bounce in this market. When they quit that, I'll probably be a little bit more bearish. 877-927-6648. Up 38, 37 points. I was thinking we probably would just go sideways today. So I am a little surprised that the market is higher. I haven't put on any additional positions. I do have 2 long positions, but I decided that I was going to probably carry those for a while. And we quite haven't hit my targets on them yet. So we shall see. Okay, we looked at India, we looked at that, we looked at that. Okay, question to look at MU. This is one of the first ones that came off the lows. The downside is you do have a lot of volume down at the December 22nd low with 41 million shares. That went in and pierced the September 23rd low. That does connote, though, that you could come back and test the 48.43. There is where I'm talking about the idea that we could come back and retest these later, but not at the moment. When we return, we'll have an announcement for a guest tomorrow and the wrap-up of the day.
If you're looking for potential trading setups in the stock market, then Rocket Equities and Options Report is a newsletter you should try. Tommy O'Brien delivers options and equity trades when the markets present them, using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. Sign up for Rocket Equities and Options Report today with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. For all the details and to start your subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
And we're back. As you talk Micron, you got what? Really, you want to look at it, kind of just light volume on the way up. Doesn't mean we can't get all the way back into this gap higher, gap down higher that goes back up to about 62. There's a double gap there, and that tends to be a fairly big magnet and target for those. Did want to say that Tim Ord will be back tomorrow as a guest. So if you have any questions for him, get them to me early, path@tfnn.com, and we'll get that to him so he can answer it, make charts for it before the show if possible. You can still probably call in, but the best, not one of these guys that does a real fast analysis. It takes him a little while. So make sure and get your questions in early. It'll be the first time for this year. And if you want to have a kind of a long-term view of markets in the world, pretty good at what he does, which is different than what I do, which is being a major opportunist. He's more of a long-term investor. Okay, what do we have here now? Okay, just checking the Just checking the emails here. Make sure we have everything else. Okay, we're coming to the end. Let's go ahead and take a look at the volume and see if there's anything out here that says this is blow away volume. It's okay. It's not kind of not fish nor fowl on volume today. It's just kind of in line, which is generally falls on the side of the bulls generally. But not a lot for the push-up, and probably a little lighter volume than we've had in past attacking these levels. Sell when you can, not when you have to. We will see you here tomorrow. Same bat channel, same bat time.
Building wealth trading in the stock market seems impossible to most